remember to fall back tonight. Now, here's your local on the 8th.
And Bettis Beyond the Forecast, weeknights 8 Eastern on the Weather Channel.
And a good day, everybody, from the New England coastline. Here we are in Gloucester, Massachusetts. Winds picking up a little bit. The rain is horizontal, and the wave action is huge behind me here. Nothing like this date 15 years ago, but we are starting to get our first reports of power outages here in Massachusetts, and we'll give those to you on a live report. Stick around.
And in the west, wildfires continue to ravage Southern California, but conditions are expected to improve very soon. Stay tuned. Weekend Now is next.
Well, hello and welcome to Weekend Now. I'm Bob Stokes.
And I'm Christina Abernathy. Well, it's shaping up to be a very busy weather weekend. We'll have more on the wildfires in California in just a moment, but first, the huge storm moving through the Northeast today. And this is the scene off the coast of Massachusetts. Strong winds are sending waves crashing on shore. Gusts of 60 miles an hour are possible today, plus very heavy rain could bring flooding to some in the Northeast. We have a number of high wind advisories in effect, and we're already getting power outages reported there in eastern portions of Massachusetts, high wind warnings for much of New England, and wind advisories farther south.
And we've already seen winds gusting close to 50 miles an hour in the Carolinas and over 40 miles an hour in New York City. Let's check back in with meteorologist Jim Cantori live in Gloucester, Massachusetts. Jim, what's the latest you've heard on those power outages?
Well, Bob, you get down to Route 6 and Route 6A. That's where we've gotten some reports in out of Salem, out of Fairhaven, and out of Barnstable, Massachusetts, of either trees down and or power outages. So that's where the problems are right now. And it's kind of interesting because that's the same area of rain on our sky tracker that's working its way up toward Gloucester. So it's got to come through, the Boston area and then eventually right up here where we are. And we've probably seen our strongest winds so far today. I mean, we're talking about 30, 35 miles an hour in gusts, and certainly the water behind me here represents the long fetch that we've had across the Atlantic and continues to bring in the water. The waves continue to rock against the rocks and spray up pretty high, but they don't get high enough because the winds are kind of blowing them over a little bit here. Let me show you what we've got as far as wind, though, and folks, I can't tell you enough at I think how lucky we've been with these winds. All right? And you say, well, Cantori, you look like you're getting hammered a little bit out there, but believe me, the winds at 1,000 feet above my head are twice as strong as they are here at the surface, okay? They're just not being transported down, which I'm sure is fine by you. We've got some sustained winds now reported off in New York City around 35 miles an hour, or actually off the Cape about 35 miles an hour. New York City still at 25, Gloucester about 24. So the winds are still pretty strong from a sustained standpoint, but some of these gusts are getting up there, 25, 30 miles an hour. And obviously they've probably been a little bit stronger down toward Barnstable and Salem, where we've had those tree lines and power lines down. Let me take a look at the gale and storm warnings now. As far as the coastal wind is concerned, we're expecting 39 to 55 in the gales and 55 plus in the storm warnings. Huge area, Jersey Shore, all the way up to Maine. And you'll notice those gale warnings also include the Great Lakes and the storm warnings as well. So this is just a huge storm, and it's covering a large area. And don't be fooled. Because we're only seeing these 25 to 35 sustained winds now does not mean that tomorrow, when we get on the west side of the storm, especially in western New York and western PA, that the winds can't be stronger. Because the fact that the sun may come out in some of these areas may allow for those stronger winds aloft. They're not going to be as strong as today, but they'll be strong, 50 knots or so, 55 miles an hour. They could be transported down toward the surface. So that's what we're looking at across tomorrow on as we work our way inside. Now, we got a chance to talk to Chief Barry McKay. He's the fire chief here, and he gave us his biggest concerns for the Gloucester area.
As we were discussing earlier, 60-mile-an-hour winds briefly the city can handle. But as you look around the area, you'll notice that there's lots of trees with leaves still left on them. Yeah. As you were describing, there is the potential of a 90-mile-an-hour gust coming up through. And with 90-mile-an-hour gusts, the potential for trees coming down, power lines being down, street and urban flooding being caused by the leaves burying the catch basins are all very real for the next day.
Well, the good news is, after looking at some of the wind profiler data in New York, in Albany, and also into Boston, there is nothing that leads me to believe that we will get a 90-mile-an-hour gust. Okay, so that's nip that in the bud right now. Could we get 60? Could we get 70? Absolutely. That is still a possibility throughout much of eastern New England as we go through this afternoon. And remember, guys, the key is we still have to get through tomorrow. And I think that's where the problems will be worse west of here, in western New York, western PA, and perhaps even western New England. All the higher elevations under the gun today and tomorrow. Back to you.
All right, Jim, thanks for that. Some good information there. And of course, it is going to be a system we're dealing with not only today, but into tomorrow as well. That low pressure is going to move on northward, and the effects tomorrow are going to be still some windy conditions, as Jim mentioned, but also lake effect snow as those cold winds blow over the warmer lake waters. Get ready for that tomorrow. And just to give you kind of an idea of what we're dealing with the wind, we're going to put this into motion, and we want you to pay attention to the areas in yellow as